Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, Drew Gann and Rusty Witten. Now, let's get to the show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Two Buck Sports Show, and welcome to fans of, as of this recording, at 7:30 on Thursday night, fans of the only 4-0 Las Vegas Summer League basketball team. Uncle Buck, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
What's up, Buckets? Everything's good, man. Living the dream here in North Mississippi. Weather's beautiful. It has slightly cooled down a little bit. It's went from like hell's inferno to like a sauna, so we're kind of just enjoying the cool here for a little bit here in North Mississippi, as I'm sure everybody over the Mid-South is about to die at this point. So glad to be here. It feels like it's been forever since we've sat across this computer screen and talked to each other. That's because it has been forever. If you remember last week, we recorded on Tuesday night. And so it has been 9 days since we've recorded this here show. And it's nice to get back on schedule.
Yeah, man, it's nice to see you, Ugly Mug, and get back in here and get going again. It has been a while. We've had multiple conversations, but it's the first time we've actually saw each other in this capacity. So definitely glad to have you back and glad to get rolling again. We've had a wild week in week and a half in Memphis Grizzlies basketball, which we'll get to. One of our favorite times of the year is upon us, which we'll get to in the third segment. We got a lot of stuff to cover. There's the Olympics coming up. There's, we were talking just not long ago on this show about we're coming to a sports dead time. And it turns out we kind of didn't, because we had Summer League rolling right into the Olympics, which will roll right into the best sport of all. And if you don't believe me, you're wrong. College football.
It's true. It is the best sport of all. And I don't think we kind of, coming in, if you think back at last season, you think the last couple of summer leagues, Grizzlies fans, I don't think, and maybe it's just me, you can correct me if you don't feel the same way, but summer league doesn't have the same pizzazz for fans if you don't have a high pick. And so Grizzlies fans, I don't think would have been as juiced up for summer league if Zach Edey wasn't a part of it, except for and also G.G. Jackson. G.G. Jackson's gotten a lot of buzz. But, like, I don't know if you just throw out Scottie Pippen Jr., Jake LaRavia, those guys.
Last year, we had G.G. last year. We had Vince last year in Summer League, and nobody knew who they were. They were just a bunch of guys that we had drafted. Vince was an unsigned free agent. G.G. the last pick of the draft. And everybody, there was kind of like some quiet murmurs about G.G., but there was no hype yet. And
Grizzlies fans going into it were not thrilled 100%. About it. Wasn't appointment television like it is this year. And so 100%. When we were talking about the doldrums of summer, we didn't take into account what this summer league would mean to Grizzlies fans. And it's meant a lot. And we're going to get into that a lot in the second segment. But yeah, this whole doldrums, the dead time of podcast season, of sports season, it has not been dead. And so we've got plenty to talk about. We're going to get to it all in our second and third segments of the draft. But we're going to start today's show just like we start every other show. We're two friends for over 10 years, and this show started this in podcast form. It's just us recording our phone calls and putting it out to the public. Yeah. And so, Rusty, I just want to catch up with you for a minute. So tell me the best thing that happened to you this week. We call it our Bucks Best of the Week.
Yeah, so mine hasn't happened yet. Mine's been the anticipation of this coming weekend. So followers of the show for more than the last few weeks know I recently changed jobs. I moved to Memphis, and I'm kind of getting my feet underneath me, and I'm hitting that busy season. Like, I know what I'm doing, and now I'm in my stride. And so, like, the last couple, like today, I started here in East Memphis. I drove to Jackson, went to Arlington, Cordova, finished in Bartlett, and then came back home. And so it was a wild day on the road. So about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, Maggie kind of tossed out the idea of, what if we had a weekend we just got away and did nothing for a weekend? I was like, I'm in. Let's do it. So we kind of looked around at some Airbnbs and stuff, and we found a really nice hotel room in this newer hotel that they built downtown Florence, Alabama. She's never been. My family's from Florence, so I know the city, know the area really well. So we're going to go spend the weekend in Florence. We're going to leave tomorrow afternoon. We're going to stay. It's called the Gunrunner Hotel. It's only 10 boutique hotel rooms on the second
floor. It
floor.
Sounds like one of those. Yeah. That sounds like it was one of those hotels built for an HGTV show.
That's it, 100%. And so it looks like it too. The shower is as big as my office here, and it's black tile. Like it's this really nice room. And so we're going to spend the weekend there. We're going to take out from Rosie's tomorrow night. If you know Florence, you know Rosie's. That's some of the best Mexican food you will ever eat.
You're going to miss out.
The margaritas
the best part of Rosie's if you're ordering takeout.
So we've talked about doing that. The other option is we might do takeout from Riccatoni's Friday night and eat Rosie's on Sunday before we head out. Saturday night, we're doing a 360 grill. We're doing a escape room Saturday afternoon. So the best part of my week is this weekend away with Maggie. I'm excited just to get some downtime. No dogs barking at us, no responsibilities other than just being lazy and just kind of hanging out. And so I've been looking forward to that all week, and it's finally here. As you're listening to this, I am well on my way to Florence, Alabama.
Yeah, that's always fun. This is a recurring theme on this show of what we see as fun as in a serious relationship for you, married for me. It's like, just getting away and not necessarily even having anything to do, but just going where the mess isn't.
That's it. There's going to be no dog here. There's not going to be Shelby chewing on us or her dog River barking at us because he gets jealous anytime I put my arm around her or even breathe in the same vicinity as her.
Right.
Love you, River. If you're listening, man, no offense. But it's going to be nice to get away for a couple of days and just with no real agenda other than a dinner reservation Saturday night and an escape room Saturday afternoon. We have any other concrete plans. And it sounds amazing.
This trip is going to turn into like a boutique hotel in a state, a state away from where you're at. And y'all are just going to watch Game of Thrones. You know that, right?
You're probably right. That's a great call.
A really expensive Game of Thrones date. So, Haley and I stayed in Florence the night of our wedding. So we left out. And Haley's dad is from Sheffield, and he has a connection with somebody who has this really awesome apartment on the strip in Florence, on the same strip as Rosie Babies and Flobama and all that.
So it's not far from where we're staying. We're on Tennessee Street, so we're going to be close to where that is.
Yeah, and so we stayed upstairs. It was a sprawling, huge, amazing apartment that was just open, and we just got to stay in it. And so Florence is a place where fun can be had. Patreon only stories maybe from our trips to Florence sometime. Yeah. But that's awesome. Happy for you.
Yeah.
My best is a trip I just came back from. You talking about unplugging. We took our big family vacation. My dad calls it the whole family vacation, where it's my parents, my two sisters, and my family, and all of our families going. I think we rolled about 16 deep into a lake house at Gunnersville, Alabama. And my wife and I, as we're driving down there, we just made the conscious decision to put your phones down. Like we just didn't get on them. We played outside. We went to a water park. It's one of the top 3 things that I've been wrong about in my life is my hatred of water parks, because it was amazing. And I think what changed is that I had kids that find water parks amazing, because I'll be honest with you, as a 32-year-old dude, and Rusty being 42, if we were both just to go 2 bros to a water park, like that wouldn't be cool, And so insert the kids into that, and it became a lot of fun. You need to take Clark's kids, and I'll take my kids one day, and we'll just go do the water park.
I'm in on that. I'm in.
And so we did that. We explored some caves, Cathedral Caverns, right there in Gunnersville or Scottsboro area. And then the last full day we had, we just played at the house. We went outside, played wiffle ball. We just played kickball in the garage. My son and my nephew decided to play kickball in the garage and busted some of those tube lights.
The fluorescent lights. Those things shattered into a million pieces. It's funny. One of my good friends in college got married in Lake Gunnersville, and Stayed in the Best Western, right on the water there. Went to the original top of the river there. There's now one in the great metropolis of Mickey, Tennessee, for those of you who are connoisseurs of good catfish in South Central Tennessee. But yeah, went to that original one. It's a real quick funny story. I was with a big group, and they said they have the world's largest seafood platter, and I was like, yeah, I'll take that. Everybody says they have that. This girl rounds the corner out like this, carrying the silver platter, and I was like, Oh no, she sits down in front of me, dude. There's like 6 strips of catfish, a dozen shrimp, 3 stuffed crabs. Like, it was enough food for a friggin' army. And I was like, I had a tie on, just left the wedding, and I just went boop, and went to work.
Yeah. All right, I ordered it. My dad once said, "You order it, you eat it."
That's it. I heard Rocky in my head, like, that ain't going to waste. And I was like, we in this. And I ate myself stupid.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Garner was really cool. It's one of those cities that looks new. Like, it looks like they've been through just this. It's like they've come out the other side of a huge, like, city beautification project. Everything was neat, pretty. Had brand new baseball facilities. Had this huge pier on the lake where it was like you were in Key West, where you had restaurants and boat docks on all sides of it. It was really cool. Corey Smith played a concert there.
Oh, no kidding.
on Saturday night. For all you people who were in high school and college in the early 2000s, you know who Corey Smith is.
I've only seen Corey Smith. I've seen Corey Smith twice, both times by accident. Like, I just was in a bar and he was like, "Hey, I'm Corey Smith," and I was like, well, how about that?
If I would do it again, you know, I'd do it the same. All right. Buckets, hit me with your biggest beef of the week.
So, Drew, I'm not a big gamer by any means.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this.
I've been waiting for the last 11 years. The games I've played most growing up, I played like all the kid video games, Mario Kart. I played Call of Duty quite a bit when PlayStations first got big, and Metal Gear Solid. And obviously I played Madden and NCAA football, NCAA baseball, 2K all my life. Well, when I moved to Myrtle Beach, I sold my PlayStation 3 and just never really bought another one. And then they announced that College Football 25 was coming out. And this is one of those times where I genuinely hate being an adult. I am paying for a mortgage. I'm paying for rent here because my condo hadn't sold. Hey, shout out in the comments. If you want to buy a condo in Myrtle Beach, hop in the comments. Let me know. I'll put one on you. I'm paying for a mortgage, student loans, got a lot of things coming out of the old checking account right now. And my savings account is dwindling a little bit. And so I had to make the grown-up decision to not immediately go buy a PlayStation 5 for $450, then buy an $80 video game. Because, adulting and budgeting is hard. Right before the show, I was actually looking at my budget, just trying to find a way to make it work. And it's like, nope, you got a trip coming up now. I got a trip in November. Let's be smart. And so then I'm just sitting here like, but I want to play the game. And so it looks incredible. I keep seeing this stuff on Twitter. Like, the views are amazing. The graphics are insane with the dancing and all the things that they do. They've got a broadcast mode now that looks like what you see on TV while you're playing the game. You got to be a straight killer to play in that mode, but it just looks amazing. And I'm sitting here broke and not buying the game. Well, not broke, but like responsible and not buying the game.
Yeah, I have severe FOMO.
Oh, it's bad.
One of my biggest flaws, because I can't. That's the reason why I started watching Game of Thrones. That's the reason why I start watching any show that I've ever seen, is I see people talking about it, and I'm just like, okay, I'm in. I got to try it out. I got to know what you're talking about. And I've never felt it as hard as I felt it with College Football 25, NCAA 25, because it was like a staple of my childhood, you know? And we played college football. You mentioned the college baseball game, which was amazing.
That's the best video game of all time. Argue with a wall. I love that game.
I only played sports games. I never got into the shoot 'em up or role playing games, first person shooters, none of that stuff. And I never played online because my parents, when I had a Xbox, I mean, we were running on dial-up internet. Like, you could play online, you could try, but no. And so I got rid of my Xbox when I was in high school. I think I was like a sophomore in high school when I sold my Xbox to my cousin. And I haven't had a gaming console since. And, not through college, not through, and for me, it was always like, I wanted to, but it's like, I know how much time I'm going to spend on that. and I don't need to spend that much time on it.
Yeah.
And now, having 4 kids, it's like I'd get divorced if I showed up with a PS5.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I was talking with a patient the other day. We were talking about the game, and I was like, "Yeah, man, like I'm just going to miss out for a while. I want to play it. Maybe a buddy of mine let me come over." He was like, "Dude, you're an adult. You can do what you want. Buy a PlayStation, buy a video game." I was like, "Well, first of all, I have a girl. I was like, I have a girlfriend, so I have something to do at night. I'm not going to go out and blow over $500 on a PlayStation for one video game, knowing good and well that I'm going to play the absolute mess out of it." And then I'm not really going to play anything else because nothing else like really like is kind of appealing to me right now from a video game standpoint. I played God of War, Call of Duty out. They got me through PT school. Don't really want to do that. I literally just want to play college football. And Dave Ramsey would not approve if I spent over $500 for one video game.
Yeah. I mean, I've made some stupid purchases in my life. I got a Peloton downstairs. I mean,
I didn't know you had a Peloton.
Yeah. I mean, so I made some dumb purchases, but this one would be much more selfish, and I can't do it. Yeah. And it's not, but like, we could probably buy it, but it is the time commitment because I have no self-control over that. Like, I'd be up all night. My wife would text me like, "You coming to bed?" Like, no, I'm sorry.
Maggie would show up and I'd be looking like Fat Thor with the big belly and the long beard and hair and just like Cheeto dust everywhere, like a caveman, like whoa.
Yeah. I watched Endgame today. Actually, it was just a slow office day, and I put it on in the background. And you saying that reminded me when Rocket says, trying to coax Fat Thor into coming out of his house, he says, "Just come on the ship. We have beer." It's like, that's Rusty.
That's like, me.
Like Rusty looking at me like, "Come to my house. I have NCAA 225. Like, okay.
Like immediately out the door.
Yeah. So, my beef is, I don't know if you noticed this, if you realized this was going on or not, but Major League Baseball's All-Star Weekend was this weekend.
Yes.
This sticks in my craw like once a year. It always pops up. It is the most under-promoted sport in the world. Like, it is just, how in the world does the Midsummer Classic, what was a staple, a summer staple as a kid, I never ever missed the home run derby. I never missed the All-Star game. How does it just, I know I'm not just missing it. I stay online. I'm up with current events. Yeah. I know I'm not just missing it, but how do I find out the day of that there is the home run derby tonight and they've changed all the rules? And like the reason I found out about the home run derby, no lie, is Ingrid Andress or whatever her name is butchering the national anthem. That's not like, oh, where's she singing at tonight in Arlington, Texas? Oh, yeah, that's the home run derby. I guess I'll flip it on. But at that point, I was like, no.
Yeah.
I don't know any of these people that are playing.
Yeah.
Like, baseball does an absolutely horrendous job of marketing itself. And as the co-founder of this here podcast, where I'm always trying to think of ways to push our things out there and come up with new ideas, baseball is just rested on its old, we're America's pastime. Ain't nobody quit watching us until nobody even knows what's going on anymore.
And so I agree. So literally last night, Drew, I'm at Maggie's, we're having dinner, and I was like, "Can I vent for a second?" And she was like, "Oh, absolutely, babe. What's going on?" Like thinking something real. And I'm like, I'm so aggravated at Rob Manfield. She's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "He's the commissioner of professional baseball." Growing up, and she was like,
and she immediately went, headphones on.
She went right back to cooking the stirred fried rice. The chicken fried rice. Yeah, babe. But like, I vented because, like, you're right. Growing up, dude, like, I didn't miss the home run derby. I didn't miss the celebrity softball game. I even watched the softball game.
Right.
I didn't miss the all-star baseball game because it was a big deal. This was the best baseball players in the world. I vividly remember what I was wearing when Josh Hamilton hit 500 home runs that night, including one that still hasn't landed. And so I remember the time they stopped miking up the hitters when Tito Martinez broke every single cussing thing you could possibly do on TV. And the guys were like, I'm so sorry. We apologize for this. We're trying to get his mic turned off. They couldn't get it off. And he just kept swearing up and down. Like, I remember these things because it was such a monumental part of my childhood.
When Torrey Hunter robbed Barry Bonds.
Yes. Yeah. And the way I'm habitually on Twitter. Like Drew said, I'm constantly looking for things I can bookmark and talk about on this show. And I just happened to see a home run from the home run derby. And I was like, out of spot. I'm not even going to turn it on. I'm going to continue watching Grizzlies Summer League and not even turn it on.
I didn't watch it. And you know what's crazy is now that it was on my radar, there's been a couple of times, like to this day, I mean, that was Monday night, right? Mm-hmm. First off, why is it on Monday night now?
So just like they're screwing it up, man.
And it's on Monday night, and I still don't know who won.
Yeah, same.
I do not know who won the home run derby.
All I know is there was a stink that Marcell Ozuna was in, and other than that, that's all I know. And I, it's a great product. It's a great sport that they've completely ruined and they've completely done away with. And then it got me on a tangent when she's neck deep in cooking chicken fried rice, probably thinking about everything but what I'm talking about. And I'm like, this just goes back to the whole blackout thing because they expect you to they black out so many games that Major League Baseball is going away because they think that a 6-hour drive is manageable to go make a game on a Tuesday night because like they black out St. Louis Cardinals games here in Memphis from St. Louis. It's a 4-hour drive because they want you to go to the game. I'm sorry, I'm not going to drive 8 hours on a Tuesday night for a 3-hour baseball game.
No, it's stupid. It is. It's a real tax. It's a real tax on the poor in the market. Because if you can't afford season tickets, you can't watch the game. And then it's like a tax on people who live in rural America. Like,
yes,
like that's stupid.
This is America.
So stupid. Yeah,
this is America. We have the freedom to watch professional baseball. We have the best baseball players in the world playing right here. We can't even watch them.
And do you want me to break some news? You want me to tell you who won the home run derby this year?
Sure, hit me with it.
A fellow by the name of Teoscar Hernandez. Ever heard of him?
We have spent enough time talking about professional baseball for tonight.
What team does Teoscar Hernandez play for?
The Myrtle Beach Mermen.
He plays for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I couldn't pick a dude up out of a lineup. If you lined up 100 people, I'd never pick him out.
Yeah, he sounds like a baseball player.
Honestly, if you lined up 2 players, I wouldn't pick him out.
Yeah. So that's our best to be for the week. I do want to shout out my Kossuth Aggies, our Kossuth Aggies. I'm wearing the hat. Thoughts and prayers. The one of the blessings and curses of living in a small town. There was tragedy that struck in our little community. A young man that just graduated high school was killed in a car wreck this week. And the sucky part is that you can really feel it shake the community because it's like everybody knows everybody.
Exactly.
And it was just really sad. And it still is. Videos are circulating around of him. Like, it really hit me in the stomach today because in the customary or the yearly senior play that they do, which is just like a slapstick silly play that the seniors put on at Kossuth and all the area high schools in Corinth. He brought his little sister up on stage to dance with him, and she was like 5, and it just ripped me apart.
There was another story about him. He was somebody posted on Facebook back in April where her son, he's in middle school, probably 12 years old, hitting in the batting cages there at Kossuth, and Logan walks in, and obviously he's coming in to hit and steps up to the cage, and she's like, "Hey, we're almost done. I'm so sorry." And he goes, "Oh no, can I give him some pointers? I'd like to help him out." And she said spent 30 minutes with the little kid, giving him pointers, teaching him how to stand. And she said her son grinned the entire time and the whole way home because this senior Aggie baseball player who had signed to go play at Holmes Community College took time with this middle school kid that he didn't have to. And so everything coming out, I didn't know him personally, but he sounds like a really good kid and a loss for our community for sure.
Yeah. And the worst part of it is that other than the fact that obviously it's a terrible tragedy for a young man in a community, it's that we all feel it, but also that the best part of living in small towns is that you all feel it together.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better community when dealing with tragedy than the community that we grew up in Kossuth.
Absolutely.
You look back at the child that had cancer, or still has cancer.
Levi Bradley, and
Bradley,
you can go all the way back to
Bradley.
Bradley. You can go all the way back to my high school when Justin had leukemia and passed away. Like, there's something about a small town.
You saw the orange ribbons on everybody's mailbox. An individual or a group of individuals in our community put a ribbon on every single mailbox up and down Kasu community, and they really rallied behind West, and they really rallied behind the family here. It's terrible, but it makes you also a little bit proud, the response where you come from. And so I wore my Kasu baseball hat today. Shout out David, my cousin David. He is an assistant baseball coach. So I know it's tough on those guys as well. So we love our hometown. We love our little community that we came from. I just wanted to shout you guys out tonight. We are going to get on to other sports. We're going to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies in our second segment, and the NBA, Summer League, all kinds of stuff that's going on. And then in our third segment, we're going to talk college football for the first time since Thanksgiving, I guess, New Year's. So really excited about starting that chapter of the Two Buck Sports Show for this season. So stick with us through the other side. We got a lot of sports to get to. But before we do that, let me tell you about Vicky Gann, CPA. Vicky Gann is my mother. That's why the name looks familiar. She is a CPA, a certified public accountant with 25 years of experience in all income tax, IRS-related issues. So if you need any help with taxes for next year or questions, give Vicky Gann a call. Also, she specializes in QuickBooks. So if you own a business or you have a loved one that owns and operates a business and needs help with QuickBooks for your bookkeeping needs, give her a call. You can reach her at 662-415-6446, or you can email her at VickyGannCPA@gmail.com. That's VICKIGANN at CPA@gmail.com.
I do not see Scottie Pippen Jr. the same way y'all do. I'm sorry. We've got this fetish over like making guys be other guys here in Memphis, right? We've had 2 or 3 Zebos, right? You know what I mean? We've had, just a million Tony Allens. It's like we're trying to make him this, that's the Tyus replacement, right? Grizzly fans who are fans of a team that have an elite level point guard that talk and stress so much about who the backup is. Bro, there are 48 minutes available in the NBA game. I want Ja Morant playing about 35 of them bitches, bro. I don't care about who plays the other 13 minutes for Ja Morant. Like, whoever. Desmond Bain, you can do it. Marcus Smart, you can do it. We have like this fetish, like, he's the next Tyus Jones. That dude's game is nothing like Tyus Jones. That dude does not value the basketball the way that Tyus Jones does. He's not the level of playmaker like that. He is a undersized scoring guard who has some point guard abilities. He's no better of a point guard than Marcus Smart is, just being honest with you.
Tune in to the Anthony Sane Show Wednesdays and Fridays at 12 p.m. weekly on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
It seems like the roster is what it's going to be. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, this is the roster they're going into the year with. Okay. Where does this roster rank from a talent perspective and an expectation perspective?
You said the word preseason expectation. I would say this is the 4th out of 7. 2019 class. Probably
the number one recruiting class. And then you have Amani and Jalen.
Number 21 would be number 2. Last year would be more.
Might be up. It might be top 3.
22 or this year? The Kendrick Davis, DeAndre Williams roster, or this roster?
I agree. That's where it really comes down to for me. I lean
this roster. All the things that are happening right now, the pieces that are in place, the fact that they're all here, all of this is kind of lining up to be a team that overachieves like the 2022 team.
Like 2022.
Yeah.
It feels very, very similar.
Tune in to On the Bluff with Christian Fowler and Gabe Kuhn every Tuesday at 12 p.m. on the Bluff City Media YouTube channel.
Guys, we are just as excited as y'all are about those new commercials. Literally the first time we've seen them. We have a new intro, outro to the commercial. Shout out Kenny and the team at Bluff City Media. That was awesome.
I just want to publicly apologize for ruining it going into it by hitting the wrong button. You know, we joked when we first started this show here at Bluff City Media that we've been driving a Toyota Corolla and they handed us the keys to a spaceship. Well, some things never change. I mean, yeah, too many buttons.
Absolutely. But listen, check out those other shows. Sane talking crazy about Scottie Pippen Jr., which he may or may not be wrong. We'll get to that here in a minute. Check out On the Bluff, No Bluffing, Next Gen. So many good shows. BluffCityMedia.co, where we can talk about your Memphis Grizzlies, which we're going to get into right now. Drew, we are fans of currently the only 4-0 team in the NBA Summer League. The Clippers play a little bit later tonight. They're also 3-0. We're going to pretend like them bums have already lost, and Memphis is the best team in the Las Vegas Summer League.
Let me tell you, they've shown, like, you know, when they do the matchups and stuff, they don't list the team. They just show the logo, like the team logo. And
I know.
It's taken me like 4 or 5 looks to figure out, like, oh, that's the Clippers changed their logo.
And they zoom in on the TV one. And like, honestly, when I saw it early today, like it looked like, I thought it was like the beak and nose of the Pelican. And I'm like, oh, the Pelicans have got a negative, it looked like a negative.
Cruise ship on it.
And now it's a Clipper ship. And it's,
so
I hate it.
Throwing me off. They did a real, it seems like they did a soft launch of this logo redesign for anybody that wasn't like Clippers fans, and it snuck up on like, did we expand?
I remember when they dropped new jerseys a few weeks back, but I don't think I ever saw the actual like boat logo until like I did the kind of like today. Like I said, I thought it was the Pelicans, and then I had to look deeper and it's like, no, in fact, that's the Clippers.
Yeah. So I mean, I just guess I'll have to hate a different uniform.
Hey, that's it, man. I will always root for and against laundry. And as long as it says Clipper on there, I'll hate Flop City. But, Drew, we have had an interesting 4 games. We're going to just kind of recap what we've seen so far. We know the Grizzlies are very likely, as long as if the Clippers lose or win by less than 24, then we're guaranteed a spot in the semifinals starting this weekend. And so the Grizzlies have had an exceptional Summer League, a la 2019 when Brandon Clark was dunking on literally everybody and we won the whole daggum thing. We've had some great players in the vein of BC. We knew what we had in Gigi. We can talk about him first. I mean, Gigi is what he is, right? He's a scoring machine. He doesn't see the floor super well. I do wish he'd pass more, but at the end of the day, he had 80 in the game tonight, and he had 3 assists in the first quarter, which tells me I'm going to give a shout out, no free shout out, Joe Mullinex on
Locked On Grizz.
Locked On Grizzlies. Thank you. It was the first one that I really heard talking about this, and I've heard it, propagated on other shows. But I think Gigi will pass the ball when he has guys around him. He can pass the ball. He feels like he could pass the ball too, and he did that tonight with Zach Edey. Gigi's had an incredible summer, and to me, is our MVP. He's averaging a double-double. He is grabbing every rebound that comes off the board. He is shooting the ball well over 50% from the field, over 40% from 3, and has had an incredible summer after an abysmal first game. His last 6 have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Gigi's been really good. It's a weird spot for him to be in because if you remember last year, he was a two-way guy. Who, because of injuries, the Grizzlies looked like a MASH war tent last year. Because of injuries, he was thrust into a role to where he could take as many shots as he wants. He can, he was a bucket getter, and he thrived in that. And then he comes to the Summer League, and he's a bucket getter. That's his role on the Summer League team. However, that's not what his role is going to be on the Grizzlies. He's going to be an off-the-bench, role player.
Yep.
He as the season goes on, if he's amazing, he may be the alpha scorer on a second unit, kind of thing. But this Gigi Jackson's game is okay being what it is right now for what the Grizzlies are going to use him at, because he's not going to get 20 shots. He's going to, we're talking, the knock on him is like he's not assisting much. I joke in a group message with you and Luke on Wednesday night that he was 10 assists shy of a triple-double. But going to be a facilitator. I don't think.
Like we're likely talking about the 8th guy. I think it's like your first guy's probably like we're assuming Luke Kennard's going to resign. You got Luke coming off the bench. You got BC, and right now I'd have Santi above Gigi just because I trust what he does and I know what he does. Santi,
but I mean, Gigi is a 6'10" wing. They're not going to average 8 assists a game. It's just not going to happen,
Fair.
And so the knock on that, I'm not losing any sleep over it.
No. Again, he is clearly the best player on any court he has stepped on this summer. And so Gigi, keep shooting, man. Shoot your shot, shoot, knocking things home, man. He's been absolutely crushing it. And so, which takes us to another MVP candidate for the Summer League, Scottie Pippen Jr., man. Like, oh my gosh, he is, Sane in the commercial was saying, and Sane makes some good points. He was talking about it earlier today, Thursday, on Twitter. Like, there's not really a world where I'm going to not want either Ja, Dez, or Marcus running that one, because all three of those guys can. You got 48 minutes, of which Ja's going to play probably 30, 35 of those minutes. So we're theoretically talking about 18 minutes a game at most of backup point guard minutes, which Dez can do, which Marcus can do, which Luke can do, which Vince did last year as well. So we're talking about a guy who can probably contribute maybe 10 to 13 minutes a game. But dadgum, he has looked so good this summer and made a strong case for NBA minutes.
Yeah, he's been amazing. And I think the biggest revelation to me is how well he has been on the defensive end. He has been what, I said Reed Shepherd was probably going to be. Not necessarily an on-point, like on-ball defender, lockdown defender the way that Vince Williams is or Tony Allen was, but like a havoc defender. He's always getting his hands on balls. He's always in the way. He's very good at anticipating, and he has really let that shine in Summer League. It also helps that he's a veteran in Summer League.
Yeah.
And so how that translates to an NBA 82 game regular season and playoffs is different. You said that you made the comment, kind of echoed Sane's point. I kind of differ with you on that because, yes, I do agree that John Morant's your point guard. I want him playing 32 to 35 minutes a game. However, in the minutes that he's off the floor, say Dez is out there or Marcus is out there, I'd still rather have Scottie Pippen Jr. facilitating and kicking to them because you've seen where he has been very good at getting past defenders. His rhythm is very good. He does a good job of speeding up, slowing down, and allowing to get past defenders and getting help defenders to crash on. And in that scenario, I would love to kick that ball to Desmond Bane.
I'm going to be honest.
And so, or
I'm in your camp here. Like, I'm echoing what the commercial said for a point, but I think that Scottie has a real role on this team. He talked about Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones forced his way onto the court. Yes, it may be a myth that we need a true backup point guard, but Scottie can score. He's averaging just over 5 assists per game, just under 5 steals per game. So he does other things really well. Yes, he's probably undersized for an NBA point guard, but Tyus Jones ain't real big, and neither is Ja Morant. And so you give me a lineup. Think about this. What if Dez and Marcus don't have to run one, and you can have Scottie running the point, and then, like you just said, have Dez and Marcus out on the wing, and then you've got Scottie driving where he can kick it out to Dez, or he can also shoot, can create space for our second lineup of Gigi, Santi, and BC down in the post. He's shown that he can hit lobs. He's improved his post-entry pass to Trey Jemison, who's also had a phenomenal summer. He's been fun to watch this summer. He has really played hard. He's not an NBA player, but he's really showed me a lot of things. And Scottie has shown that he can the biggest thing to me, like, yes, the stats are gaudy. They look great in Summer League, but he just looks in control. He's so smooth, and it never looks like the moment's too big for him. We saw that in real NBA minutes last year when he was averaging double figures in points at the end of the season. So Scottie to me, has earned the right to be our backup point guard. Now, I love Derrick Rose. I do love Derrick Rose. I love what he's done. I appreciate it. I understand the need for a veteran presence. Hate me in the comments if you want. I am pro Derrick Rose, but I don't think we need Derrick Rose on this basketball team.
Oh, you're good with him just letting him walk.
If we could package him to maybe move Zaire or bring in a vet wing or a backup big, I think I've seen enough from Scotty and Cam that I would be okay with it. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm like a proponent, like that absolutely needs to happen. But if somebody came to us and said, we'll take Zaire, but it's going to cost you Derrick Rose for whatever reason, I don't think that would happen. I don't think I would be upset with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that would be upset with that.
Listen, if he's valuable in a trade, I don't think they would hesitate in trading him. Mm-hmm. But he's just not.
Agreed.
And that's why he's going to be on the Grizzlies next year. Mm-hmm. And the ultimate reason why he's going to be on the Grizzlies next year is because John Morant wants him there. He's vocal on Twitter about Derrick Rose more than anybody. I mean, he loves Derrick Rose being in this locker room. And
he's a great locker room guy.
And so that's why he'll be there.
Right. He also
he's not going to factor into the lineup at all.
He has playoff experience, and that's something this team needs for sure.
I mean, not extensive playoff experience.
I mean, he was in 2021. He started most of the games for the Knicks that year,
and they didn't win a series. I mean, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not here to besmirch Derrick Rose. I'm not a Derrick Rose fan as much as all of our listeners are. You know, I'm not a Memphis Tigers fan. You know, I didn't grow up in Memphis. I'm a Grizzlies fan. I love the city of Memphis, but I'm not a Memphis Tigers fan, and I did not hold that 08 team in a special place in my heart. I understand the people that do. It's valid, and I would, for the same reason, if Marshall Henderson wanted to get signed to the Grizzlies, I'd be stoked, you know.
Yeah.
But he's just not going to factor in to the lineup decisions other than like a third guard in injury situations. But then he's just going to get hurt, and so but he's valuable on the team and in the locker room, and
like a lesser Vince Carter.
He's going to be there.
He's like a lesser Vince Carter. Vince actually gave us some minutes and could stay healthy. Derrick just can't. And if John wants him on this team to make him feel better, I mean, I'm here for it. That one roster spot's not going to make or break us making it to the NBA championship. I think we can still do it with the roster that we have. I think we could also add a piece to the trade deadline and make it happen. But regardless, I think Scottie Pippen and Cam Spencer have made a pretty strong case for being that backup point guard by committee.
Yeah, I'd be at this point as of Thursday night, July the 18th. I think I'd be shocked if Scottie Pippen Jr. does not end the season as a full 100%. Roster player.
I would agree with that.
Grizzlies.
I'd agree with that 100%.
Another standout, since you brought his name up just briefly, Cam Spencer's been amazing. I told Luke, I said, I don't know if I was the first one on the bus, the fan, but I was jumping on with everybody else because as soon as I saw the name come across the board, I was like, okay, I remember that guy. And I don't watch a lot of college basketball, but I remember that guy being a super contributor on one of the greatest basketball teams of all time. And he was an absolute dog. And so I was like, I was in from the get-go. And he's really he is really bust on the scene. He's been a summer league standout as somebody who was picked in the 50s. You know, I think he was like
the 53rd.
53rd. So two picks before Bronny.
Yeah.
So and so he's great. Although I do have some character concerns now because he did say that he would die on the court for a win. Yeah. But he missed tonight's game because he had a sore ankle. So did he lie?
It doesn't sound promising, Drew. And for me, another rookie, I had higher expectations than Jalen Wells and what it's been. He is much like your local drunk frat guy, shooting and missing at threes all night long.
He was amazing. Marshall was amazing. Stop.
No, I said drunk frat guys. I didn't say Marshall Henderson. I said your local drunk frat guy shooting and missing at threes all night long.
You can see how I thought you were talking about Marshall Henderson.
Right? I mean, also the two are related. But yeah, man, like the shot's too good for it not to fall. And what I really like about him is when the shots are not falling, and they fell better the last couple of games. He rebounds, he gets hustles, he gets steals, he defends really well. He's 6'8", and he uses all of it playing defense. In last night's game, he was 5 for 13 with 10 points. Again, or 15 points, excuse me. Not a very efficient night, 38% from the field, 3 of 9 from 3. But what I appreciate, again, is the hustle, man. When his shot's not falling, he's not hanging his head. I'm not going to you can do this. Don't make the comparison to Zaire. He's out there hustling and he's getting rebounds. He's defending. He doesn't check out.
No, he's fine. You know, honestly, what I told you from draft night to now hasn't changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
Flip the contracts of him and Cam Spencer, and I'd be okay with it. You know, but it's just for me, they're both older players. You know, Cam Spencer is 24 years old. Jalen Wells, he played in college for 4 years, I think. I don't know how old
he's 23 or 24 as well. I think he's 23.
You know, I expect those guys to be consistent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dylan Brooks, when we drafted him, he was who he was, and he didn't improve or regress necessarily.
Jalen's 20. Jalen's only 20 years old. Sorry.
Okay. So all right. So maybe this whole thing is wrong. But I expect more consistency out of your craft. Like especially if you're a 24-year-old shooter, I expect you to shoot consistently.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like a project kind of player.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm wrong about Jalen Wells. I may take it all back now that I know he's 20. So
I think there's hope, you know, but the biggest thing, last two that we'll talk about before we start really moving on towards college football. Jake LaRavia, Jake from Wake. I like my crows serve best about rare to medium rare. I'm not willing to say that he's going to be.
You don't want undercooked bird, do you?
I don't mind, man. At this point, like I'll just take whatever because I don't think he's going to be an NBA like he's going to play considerable minutes. But I can see a spot as the 13th, 14th man off the bench to be that corner three, wing three, get a big stop. You know, he defends pretty well. He's got slow feet, but he defends pretty well. He's shown me a lot more this summer than I anticipated Jake from Wake showing me.
Yeah. I'm not going to say like I've been on board with Jake. I was just never willing to cut him. I think you just wanted to cut him at times.
I want to trade him, get rid of him, do something
and
for sure.
So he has shown that he's summer league good. You know, I've said on this show many times, you can be great at summer league, and that's okay. But if you are terrible at summer league, that's red flag central.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more revelatory to me if you suck at summer league than it is if you're amazing. So he's been really good. He's too good for summer league. He's one of the best players on the court in summer league. I'm curious to see how it translates. The front office and the players on the team have always had his back, which is encouraging for me because there's really been no better team in the NBA at developing players than the Memphis Grizzlies. And so that's why I've always kind of held on to him. Curious to see where what kind of rotation he's in to start the season and in preseason ball and then start the season. I'm intrigued by it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's a spot for him with his team deep, giving us some rotation minutes, and he has proven to me that he can be serviceable. And last but not least, we do need to probably call up Pedro Serrano from the movie Major League and see if he can do some kind of like cleansing ceremony for us with Jobu, because Drew, I think we're cursed. Like there's no way we're not cursed.
You're talking about Zach Edey. Yeah.
Zach Edey didn't get hurt at all in 4 years at Purdue, 3 years at IMG, and the 2 games he's played again for the Memphis Grizzlies, he's gotten hurt in both games.
Yeah. It's really unfortunate. And as Grizzlies fans, and I alluded to it in the first part of this second segment, it's the reason why in the first segment, the reason why we were all excited about Summer League this year is because Zach Edey was playing and G.G. Jackson was playing. And, you've seen, what now, 5 games, I guess, because I think he set out one of G.G. Jackson, and now you're kind of like, okay, cool, we've seen it, go win a championship, I guess. But you've really felt gypped on the Zach Edey front because the first game was so amazing. And it seems like every time the Grizzlies are playing, everybody is in their chair 15 minutes before the game starts, ready for the game, and then Zach Edey's not playing. Yeah. And I know there's an abundance of caution that's being taken. That is the Grizzlies' MO, and I don't know that I blame them for Summer League
for sure
to be extremely cautious with a 7'4" center's ankle. Especially when you spent the number 9 pick in the draft on him.
For sure.
However, the Grizzlies medical staff and last season, it's really everybody's got a bad taste in their mouth. I felt a lot better about the situation now that he played tonight going into it. But going into Thursday night's game, I was kind of scared that they were Steven Adamsing and us.
Yeah.
Where it was just kind of like, he's fine. Maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, off-season knee surgery. Or like you've just got Grizzlies fans have scars.
Sure. And rightfully so.
And so the fact that he played tonight alleviated that. And then he twisted it again, which was just so frustrating. And no one feels worse than Zach Edey. Yeah. I mean, he's laying on the floor just saying, man, I just want to play.
Mm-hmm.
You finally got a chance to prove the haters wrong.
That's it.
And you're playing well, and you just twist your ankle again.
What I've seen in almost 40 minutes of Summer League basketball was enough for me. That dude has got a place on this roster. He'll be your starting center. We got plenty of time for that ankle to get better. 3 for 3 tonight. He had at one point he had 6 points in 7 minutes. I mean, it's about as efficient as you can get. I mean, the announcers were saying, I think we've got a Steven Adams prototype who moves a little bit better in space. And so I think that the future is bright for Zach Edey. Get healthy, get ready for the season, get some chemistry going with Jai and the big dogs of this team. And I think the sky's the limit with Zach Edey. I really do.
And go ahead and get high tops and braces on both knees, ankles. Like it doesn't hurt.
Pat it up, man. Let's just tape them up and let's move on with life, right? So
nobody's gonna call you a weenie. Okay, nope. Just take care of yourself. So
that's it. And so, Drew, we are moving into one of our favorite times of the year. It's already happening.
Favorite.
That's our favorite time of the year. It's better than Christmas. It's better than anything that comes up. It is the beginning of college football season, and as that comes down the pipe, it starts with SEC Media Day, and there has been some spicy content coming out of, not that spicy, but some spicy content coming out of SEC Media Day to where it's been some great sound bites. You got Lane Kiffin versus Paul Feinbaum. You've got Nick Saban versus Tyler Brooks.
Alabama.
Which was one of my favorite quotes that came out of this weekend was when Saban, said he's picking Georgia and Texas to play, and Tyler Brooks said, the OC at Alabama, he said, Saban, when he was our head coach, told us not to listen to people who are still living in their parents' basement talking about sports. He said, I'm not going to listen to somebody who talks about sports and plays golf all day.
Yeah, it's a great quote. And it's a quote, with Saban, when he said that, I was like, either two things or one of two things are possible here. One, he's really diving into being an unbiased media member. Or two, he knows what he used to use for bulletin board material to rally his guys in Alabama. So he's like, all right, the first thing I'm going to do as the former head coach of Alabama is put something on their bulletin board.
He is still like a recruiting coordinator and has an office above the football offices.
Yeah,
so like he's still there.
It's just a title to have an office.
That was rat poison, what that was to get them going.
One thing that I'm always looking at for SC Media Days is kind of the drama and stuff. And then you did have Lane and Feinbaum kind of have their moment today, which is always fun. It seems like you get a little moment like that every year between Lane and Feinbaum because Lane definitely blames Paul Feinbaum for him getting fired at Tennessee.
Sure.
And rightfully so to a degree.
To a degree.
You also weren't very good, but also that did help.
Yeah.
And so you got that clip today where Lane said, I don't really know what you're good at, he said, you compared me to Miley Cyrus. Well, she had a renaissance and so did I. So I don't really know what you don't know what you're talking about. It's great. It's great. And then, nobody does media better than Lane.
And then you got I kind of took a brief tour through LSU Twitter with there's so many memes of Brian Kelly where it's like the meme where it's like the lady in the front seat screaming in the back seat like be normal, and then he's climbed up on this bull and it's like no. Like that dude just does the weirdest photo ops in the weirdest moments.
And
it was incredible.
I liked another thing that I was looking forward to just seeing what Texas and Oklahoma looked like, what their talking points were. And both of them were pretty united in saying, like, listen, we played in a good conference. We're a good conference. We're good teams from good conferences that's going to play in a better conference. We think we're going to hold up, especially Texas. They don't come in thinking that they're going to be a subpar team, and Texas should not come in as a subpar
very
team.
talented. I think
I
it's
also
great.
loved that the the lead, I guess the director of officials for the SEC said that the horns down would not be flagged.
I love it. Love it.
So
that's it. Horns down, baby. All horns down.
And so yeah, that was just a couple of sound bites that I like from it. We haven't gotten the media poll yet, which is the last thing that's always done. It'd probably be done. We'll probably have it today by the time everybody's listening to this. Curious to see where they have the teams lined up and in order of projected finish based on media votes. I've got some numbers here for Vegas. We'll get into that in a minute. But in particular, Ole Miss. Ole Miss has got some absurd expectations this year. Expectations that Ole Miss has not had since 2008, and that ended poorly. When they came into the season as the number 4 team in the country.
Need for Heisman. RIP.
Yeah. And so it's SEC Media Days is joked about as being like the unofficial start of college football season, even though we're like a month and a half away from college football season,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's just nice to kind of get the process started,
This feels like the kickoff, right? Like this is Black Friday that gets you ready for the Christmas season. Like this is what kind of sets the stage for what's to come. We got fall camp starting next month. Most of the recruiting is over. Most of the hoopla around that is on pause until the early signing period in February. And it is time to start in December. Excuse me. Yes. Yeah. The original was in February. This is time where we start getting fitted for helmets. We start getting fitted for cleats. Gear starts coming in, and SEC football is upon us. And I personally, as a Mississippi State fan, I'm really excited about this season. Last year was a blip, got an opportunity for a fresh start with Coach Levy, and I'm excited to see where that's going to go over the next couple of months.
Yeah. So just to, we talked about the unofficial start to college football being SEC Media Days. A good way to kind of set, I guess, your expectations is based on like what Vegas expects of you, because they didn't build all those fancy buildings for being wrong. So I always like to get a good start on it. Just quick preview real quick. We're going to get into each team this year. Last year we did it all in 2 episodes. We're probably going to plan ahead a little bit more, spread it out, go in depth about every team leading up to Labor Day weekend when college football kicks off. But we're going to start today looking at Vegas win totals for SEC teams. I probably should have looked at Memphis as well, just because
SEC's king.
Love City Media.
And listen, Memphis is going to be good. Memphis is going to be real good this year. You heard it here first on the $2 Sports Show.
I want to say they're like 9.5. I mean, really.
Memphis upsets Florida State opening weekend. You heard it here first.
Oh, that is bold. Shoot.
Florida State lost a lot. Memphis upsets Florida State. Shout out to the Tigers fans out there.
59-minute mark. We're going to clip that one. All right. So the SEC is in, to me, 3 definitive tiers. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 teams at 9.5 or higher, according to Caesars Sportsbook, as far as win totals go to start the season. Georgia, 10.5 wins is their over-under. Texas, 10 wins. Tennessee, 9.5. LSU, 9.5. Ole Miss, 9.5. Alabama, 9.5. Missouri, 9.5. To go over on Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Missouri, they've got to win 10 games. And that is just absurd for me. That's I believe that is just regular season. That doesn't count postseason. And so Ole Miss, for the first time in my lifetime or ever, won 10 regular season games last year. And now that's the Vegas line is 9.5.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into everybody's schedules. This is not going to be an Ole Miss, but we're not talking, we're not laying out schedules yet, but 9.5 for Ole Miss, 9.5 for Tennessee, 9.5 for Alabama, 10.5 for Georgia. The next tier, A&M, they're at 8.5. They've got a new ball coach, got a returning quarterback. That team is still loaded with talent, and they always will be. We'll see how Mike Elko does in College Station next year. From there, Oklahoma, SEC newcomer, 7.5. That would be a down year for Oklahoma. Auburn, 7.5. Auburn, Hugh Freeze may get fired if they go under.
Good, nice. 7.5 feels like a bold reach for them. They were bad last year.
Kentucky, 6.5. South Carolina, 5.5. Florida, 5 wins is their over-under.
Real quick, I do want to go back real quick to the top tier. I think Missouri is another team to watch. I called it last year that they were going to be a 10-win team and they were going to be a really good football team. They returned a lot of if we're ranking them, and we'll get into them deeper. I did want to just Missouri's returning Brady Cook,
Luther Burden.
Their defense didn't lose a lot. Missouri's going to be good again next year in the East.
South Carolina 5.5, Florida 5, Arkansas 4.5. They lost KJ Jefferson. They lost Rocket Sanders. They lost Pooh Paul. On their defense.
Embrace the hog.
Yeah. They're going to embrace that hog. Let me tell you what.
Good night, man. I'm like, I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we're all going to embrace that hog. You know what I'm saying?
Here on the $2 Sports Show, we're a hog-friendly podcast. Anyway, continue.
we hog at the $2 Sports Show. Mississippi State, 4.5 wins going into the season.
Hammer the over.
Yeah, I mean, if you're at 4.5, you're like, do you win an SEC game? You know, that's what you're betting against. So,
I'm going to say my takes, but hammer the over.
Yeah. They're begging you to hammer the over for Vanderbilt because their number is 2.5 games. Good night.
Have we ever seen a win line for an SEC team? Good night.
Yeah. Clark Lee it's going the wrong way. So that's kind of our starting point for going into college football. And in regards to the SEC, like I said, I didn't look up Memphis's. I should have. Give me 1 second, and I will.
Just real quick thoughts on this. Like the teams that you think are going to be good are going to be good next year. Again, Bama's returning a lot. They're still probably going to be an 8, 9, 10 win game season, but. Is that going to be enough for Alabama fans, right? Because Saban, they're used to winning 11, 12, 13 games, and can they handle a couple down years? From all intents and purposes, DeBoer has been killing it on the recruiting trail. They don't think there's going to be a ton of drop-off, but any drop-off, even if you drop off to 10 wins, for most programs, that's a massive season. For Alabama, his seat's going to start getting warm.
Yeah, Memphis is 9.5. According to Caesars Sportsbook, 9.5 according to Caesars, tied with Boise State as the highest over/under win total for non-Power 4. I guess we're calling it now. Teams, which means that Memphis and Boise State is likely to have a showdown for who's going to get into the playoff. As far as expectations go for you're talking about over-unders and Alabama's being 9.5 if they hit 9, if it's a disappointment. I think that whole grading scale changes now that you've got a 12-team playoff. If you win 9 games to get into the playoff, that's a success, I think. I don't think you can call it a non-success if you make a 12-team playoff in the NCAA. Speaking of SEC championship game winners, I looked at this up. The odds to win the SEC championship game: Georgia plus 200, Texas plus 300, Ole Miss as the third favorite to win the SEC at plus 600, Bama 750, LSU 900, Tennessee 1200, national champion Georgia plus 300, the Ohio State University plus 325, Texas, Oregon, Ole Miss at plus 1500, LSU at plus 1700. So that's a good little starting point, I think, to a jumping off point as we start talking about college football. Is just where Vegas has us and has your team.
Yeah, I like Dan Lanning. I like Oregon. They lost an awful lot last year. I don't know that they'll be that high.
Added Dylan Gabriel. Which also helps. Should have been. He ain't never won nothing.
No. A&M is the one that strikes me. 7.5 feels pretty high for Elko's first year. I know he won and he did well at Duke, but A&M feels high. I'm curious about Texas and Oklahoma. You're right. They're confident, especially Texas. They got a ton of talent. And yes, they came from a good conference, but even on some of their like top to bottom, the Big 12 is not as deep as the SEC. Not the bottom of the SEC. Arkansas, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State, last year weren't as strong as they normally are. But I just feel like 10 wins feels like might be a lot for their first year in the SEC. Then again, Missouri played for an SEC championship within their first 2 years.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like the SEC was deep last year. I feel like it was very top heavy. In the West,
probably so.
You had Mississippi State, A&M, Auburn, all terrible. Vanderbilt, Florida, terrible. Like you had your sucky teams.
Yeah.
The ones that jumped out to me, like Ole Miss 9.5 just scares me to death. Just because to think that I've got to lay money on 10 wins. I mean, that's scary.
You only done that how many times in program history? Like one or twice? Once last year, right?
Yeah. In the regular season, that is.
Mm-hmm.
So A&M's tricky. You're with A&M at 8.5. You're really betting that Jimbo Fisher is a crap coach.
Yeah,
which I think we can all agree on. If Mike Elko is a better coach than Jimbo Fisher, they probably win 9 games. Like that. We haven't looked at schedules or anything.
That's coming.
Auburn, I'm not buying it. I don't want to buy.
I'm hammering the under, dude. I'm putting all my money on the under.
7.5. Yeah, I'm going under.
Yeah.
Kentucky, I'm going to go over just because they're good always. Mark Stoops is incredible. He's one of the best coaches in football.
Oh, and it's 6.5. Yeah, I'd take the over at 6.5.
Wins every year, and I promise you, if they're at 6 wins, they'll beat Louisville at the end of the year.
Yeah, if that line was 7.5, I'm absolutely not taking it. But 6.5, I would take the over.
I'm all in as far as hope goes, and Arkansas hits under on 4.5. I want to embrace. I want to embrace the hog, but and I also would love Stan Pittman to stay there forever. But Mississippi State is tricky. You've got your non-conference Power 5 is Arizona
State. It's Arizona State, but it's at Arizona State.
So if you lose that game, 5 may be hard to get to. If you win that game, I think you definitely get to 5.
Because we'll talk more about this, but our 5 road games are impossible to win. Our 4 road games are impossible to win. Our 4 home games are pretty manageable outside of Missouri. I mean, it really, like, I was in a little Twitter exchange today. I think our absolute ceiling is 7-5. I think that's like, if we go 7-5, that's a massive win in the season. And that means we probably upset maybe either like Ole Miss or maybe Missouri at home, like to get like a win late as Levy gets traction. But we'll get more to that in the coming weeks.
Yeah. So stay tuned with us. We're going to really dive into college football. We love talking Memphis Grizzlies. We feel like we're knowledgeable about Memphis Grizzlies, but this is our bread and butter. This is where our roots are as in college football. It's going to be our first college football season as a part of Bluff City Media. And so tune in with us. Tell your friends about us. We're going to get neck deep in college football this year. We'll do our best to talk about Memphis as well. So don't turn us off, okay?
Yeah.
We'll stay up to date on Memphis as well.
We'll talk about SEC football left, right, college football left, right, Memphis Tigers, any Grizzly news. Eventually when Luke Kennard signs with the Memphis Grizzlies, we'll talk about that. But there's so many sports. We've also got the Olympics coming up. Drew and I are both big root for laundry guys. And so we're big patriots. And so you put the stars and bars on anything, and I'll watch them underwater basket weave and shoot top.
Like,
and that's it. Like,
as far
whatever.
As greatest Patriots go, it's like Toby Keith, Mel Gibson, me, and Rusty.
That's it. That's exactly right. And so we'll be there. We'll be here for you in the nitty gritty, watching all the Olympics, the obscure sports that you don't have to, talking about water polo, weightlifting, and pole vaulting, because we just love America and we love being better than everybody else at whatever we can in athletic events.
Yeah, we either win or we quit because it's unfair.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Drew, this is another great episode. Enjoyed it, man. We're in 1:10. I'm first of all, we need like props to both of us because we have shortened these episodes for y'all. Used to, if you go back to the original $2 Sports show back in the day, there's some 2.5 hour episodes that this was completely by accident, by the way. We did not plan this. but we would hammer 2.5 hour episodes out. There was one, it was almost 3 hours of us arguing about State and Ole Miss. So y'all are welcome for keeping this at an hour and a half, or under an hour and a half, at an hour and 11 minutes, but you still don't get a refund for what you heard here today.
Yeah, because with the $2, you always get what you pay for. Have a great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. For comprehensive coverage of all things Memphis sports, head over to www.bluffcitymedia.co and find out how you can become an insider. We will see you back here next time.